Here's a new question for you. How you doing?
Good!
All right. Only had to do it one time. Good day today, huh?
Yeah!
Who went in the pool and got drowned? Right on. Nice knowing you. Who went out in the field and got drowned? Yeah, nice knowing you. Yeah. Who ordered a slushie and got drowned? Yeah, nice knowing you. That's good stuff. That's what camp's all about. We can just say, nice knowing you, and you're gone. Looking pretty cool in the shades back there. I hope I'm cool enough for you. Right on, sister. There you go. Not ashamed to wear those glasses indoors, but is she ashamed of the gospel? I don't know. It's not up for me to know. It's up for you to ask yourself continually this week, how bold am I going to be? That's your question. How bold am I going to be for God when I'm back home and it's not a bunch of other church people sitting around me going, whoa, oh, oh. When I'm back home and it's just the normal people there, will you be as excited as you are here? And the idea would be, yes, I'm going to find a way to be as excited as I can about my Savior Jesus in all that I do, and everywhere I go, and in whom I'm in front of. It doesn't mean you have to run up to your friends and go, whoa, oh, oh. You don't have to. It can just be your actions that are a little more loving, a little more Christ-like. It can just be the words that come out of your mouth. It can be a little more loving and a little more Christ-like. It can be the decisions that you make to be a little more loving, a little more Christ-like. The importance of church to you and being there and opening up this book, the Bible, can be a little more important. And sometimes that's all it takes for somebody to get curious enough to want to know about your faith. So you're always working on it, always trying to grow it. And so I'm standing in front, oh wait, I had a scripture. I'm going to catch you off guard. We're going to the Old Testament. I need you to turn to Jeremiah 1. Jeremiah 1, Old Testament, right about in the middle. Major prophet. Major prophet or minor prophet? I don't know either. Prophet. I think he's a major prophet. I don't know. One of the majors in my book, Jeremiah. Some Bible scholars list him as either a major or minor. He's either in the major leagues or in the minors. I don't know. He's in the major leagues with me. Jeremiah 1, and then hold it. New translation, Jerry 1. I don't know. It might be, possibly. I don't know. I don't go into that modern, except if you've ever read the Message Bible, I recommend a book called The Message Bible for you kids, because it puts every one of these stories in kind of story form. It's kind of fun to read that way. And then there's that Action Bible. We like that thing. Woo! We found David and Goliath and that giant sword earlier. Good stuff. So I'm standing in front of my friend Eddie, who has just done the most amazing thing ever on a bike. I just watched my two friends attempt the same thing and wipe out horribly. And I have a question for Eddie. How did you know that little ramp there was going to get you across Frog Finger? I have to know, because you were risking everything. If that ramp comes up 2 feet short, Eddie, you're a mess. How do you know? He said there was a secret. And the secret was that the day before, on that Saturday, he came down there and he set up that ramp on another part of the trail that had dry ground, not Frog Finger there. And he went up the hill and went down, and he tested the ramp to see how far he would fly off into a field. Then he went back up the hill and he tested it, and he tested it, and he tested it, until he was sure, until he was confident that he could go far enough using that ramp when he went off it, that he would make it over Frog Finger. He had practiced and practiced and tested that ramp till he was sure it had enough power to take him over destruction and land safe on the other side. You see, that's what our faith's all about. You see, because Eddie showed me something that day you won't believe. He showed me every one of your lives and mine. Because when we're 1 or 2 years old or 3 years old and mom and dad are making most of the decisions for us, life's like an easy little bike ride. But then as we get older and older and decisions of right and wrong start to become our own, and some sin comes in and some temptation comes by, it's coming a little bit quicker than it did before, and we got to make a decision, and sometimes we make the right decision, and sometimes we don't. And we get going in this hill of life, and it starts picking up speed, and sometimes we make the right decision, and sometimes we don't. Well, I can promise you, something's going on with my microphone. We okay? Cool. I can promise you, as life goes on, this life just keeps picking up speed, and right and wrong are going to come by a little bit faster than they did the day before. And it's going to come whizzing by you, and you're going to have to make split-second decisions, and your eyes are going to get a little bit blurry, and you're going to be looking out there, and at some point in your life, you might say to yourself, I wish there was something out there I could aim for. I wish there was something I could aim my life at that I know would make me okay. And you know what? God heard you, and He built you a ramp, and He called Him Jesus. And He says, if you can hit this ramp with your life, if you can aim your life at this ramp, I don't care where you are on this hill of life, if you can turn your life and hit this ramp, Jesus, someday you're going to fly. And when you land safe on the other side in heaven, won't the whole ride have been worth it? Won't the whole ride have been worth it? But you got to practice. You got to test Him. You got to call on Him. Jesus, get me through this situation. Jesus, help me through this situation. Because every time you call on Jesus to help you through a situation, you get through it, you'll get bolder in your faith. You'll get stronger. You'll get less and less ashamed of the gospel and more excited to have it be more of a part of your life. But you've got to test this ramp. You've got every day, you've got to practice aiming your life at this ramp. You're going to go back into a world after this camp that's going to tell you, there's the ramp over there, it's money. No, there's the ramp over there, it's popularity. Oh no, there's the ramp. The ramp is actually you. Listen to you and you only. There's a whole group out there that's going to say, there's no ramp. There's never been a ramp. And you've got to decide in your life what you're going to aim your life at. Well, according to this book right here, the God-breathed word, there is one ramp, one truth, one life, one Lord, one Savior, one way, one name above all names who we will all bow in front of someday. And He loved you so much, He came down to this earth and became a ramp for you to find heaven someday. And He loves you so much, He's not going anywhere. Doesn't matter where you think you're aiming your life, there is enough time to turn your life and aim it at this ramp. And you got to ask yourself, what are those ramps out there that you're aiming your life at? What's getting all of your time? What's getting all of your direction? Is it all about sports and all about you? Is it all about learning and all about you? Is it all about the internet and all about you? What are you giving all of your time to? Who's getting the best hours of your day? What are you practicing? What are you working on that would be more important than making sure you're aiming your life at the person that can get you into eternity? I don't know what your priority system is. I don't know what's on top right now. But I want you to take Jesus and stick Him in there somewhere and see if you can't, by the end of this week, move Him up to the top of the list. Because I can't find a better priority than making sure that I'm aiming my life at Jesus before I aim it at anything else. And trust me, He loves athletes, and He loves actors, and He loves intelligent people. He loves all kinds of people. He just wants you to aim your life at Him first, and then He'll take you to your dreams. Aim your life at Him, and He'll take you to your dreams. The Bible actually says He wants to give you the desires of your heart for all of those who trust Him. I want to give you everything that you want as long as you trust Him, as long as you aim at Him, as long as you focus your life on Him. And when you do that, the boldness will come. There's some people in this world that have been, there's a girl a few years ago, she's 17 years old, she says, Dad, can I take the boat and sail around the world? Honey, you're 17. I know, but we've spent enough time, you have taught me enough on sailing, I can do this, Dad. Can I take the boat and go around the world? He's like, honey, if I say yes, there's going to be so many adults in my face about putting my daughter in peril. Come on, Dad. We have practiced this so much. You know I can do this. Please, that's what I want to do. Can I take the boat around the world? And he's like, okay, honey, head out. 12-year-old kid walked up to his dad and said, "Dad, can I fly the plane from New York across the Atlantic Ocean and land it in Europe?" "Son, you're 12. You don't even have a driver's license." He goes, "Yeah, but I got a pilot's license because you taught me how to fly, Dad. You taught me everything about flying. Dad, you know I can do this, and it's the desire of my heart. Dad, can I take the plane and fly across the Atlantic? I don't care how old I am. Can I fly there and land in Europe?" "Dad, you know we've put in the time. It's the number one thing we do together, Dad. Can I take the plane and fly it across the ocean?" You know, I want to teach my son to fly. I hope I taught my son to fly. He's older now. But I tried to teach him how to fly every day. At one point in our life, it was the number one thing we did together was I taught him how to fly. But it wasn't in an airplane. I tried to teach him how to fly someday so that at some point he would touch down in heaven. And I prayed that he would look at people and say, the reason I know how to land in heaven someday is that me and my dad, it was the number one thing we did together. He taught me how to fly. My son doesn't get everything right. He can be a typical son sometimes, and he does stuff, and he's older now, but back then he could do stuff that you as a dad, you're just going, "You did what? I got to answer for what? What were you thinking?" But at a certain point in his life, he humbled me with his faith. He came up to me at 9 years old, and he goes, "Dad, I know what I want to do with my life." At 9. I'm like, "Could you go away until I figure out what I want to do with my life before you tell me what you want to do with your life at 9? I said, "What do you possibly know you want to do with your life at 9? He goes, "I want to be an actor." And I'm like, "There hasn't been an actor in our family ever." I go, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, I think that's what God put. I want to be an actor. That's what I'm feeling it right here." And I said, "Well, what's in it for God?" He goes, "I'll get back with you." And he leaves. He comes up the next day and he goes, "Dad, let's say I become an actor. I win an Academy Award, get an Oscar. If I'm standing up there in front of the whole world, my Oscar, can I give all the glory for everything I've done as an actor to Jesus?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's go." So now I'm taking this kid out there and we're doing little community theater stuff and he's getting the lead. And I take him into a little bigger theater thing and he's getting the lead role. And he's loving it and he's doing well at it. And I take him into some off LA type stuff where he's actually going to get paid money and people are going to audition again and he's getting the lead role. And every time I'm thinking, I don't know if he should be an actor and do this thing because it's so scary out there, he keeps getting the lead role. My family's calling me going, "You're not taking him into Hollywood. Hollywood's going to eat him alive. Hollywood's horrible. That's where Satan is. You don't take a good Christian kid into Hollywood." And I'm going, "I don't know. He's just auditioning and maybe he won't do it." What? He got the lead role. Oh, no. So pretty soon I have to get him this agent. My family comes unglued. "You're getting him a Hollywood agent?" "Yes." "Why?" Because in his heart, he wants to be an actor. And we have gotten it to the point where when somebody says something like, "You're not going to get this role," we don't look at it as a director saying no. We're saying God saying not yet. And he would have told you at 11 or 12 years old, 13 years old, that Hollywood was his mission field. And that he should be taking the light into Hollywood if Hollywood's so horrible, because Christians tend to back up from the horrible. And every time we take a step back, Satan takes a step forward and says, "Thank you." And we step back and Satan steps forward and says, "Thank you." Well, I told my son, if you're going to go into Hollywood, you better tell me what's in it for God, and you better show me that you can push back against the darkness. And so he got excited for every role he tried out for. He got excited that he might be able, in his first movie, he worked with an Academy Award-winning actor. And in his second movie, he worked with an Academy Award-winning actor. And in the second movie he was in, he was literally there for the whole time. And there's this one final scene, and the Academy Award-winning actor, the big name, is sitting in a chair here. And it's the last scene. This is where everybody goes home. Everybody's tired. They're going to shoot this scene. And they call Noah to the set, please. Because he's going to do this scene with this main actor. and 3 big, huge guys that are going to do this gladiator, this big fight scene. And Noah's not there. And so the Academy Award actor is sitting in his chair being held up by the little no-name 12-year-old kid. Noah, to the set, please. Noah, to the set. As a dad, I'm starting to panic. My son has all of Hollywood here on hold because they can't find him. Well, then they do find him. He's over in the corner. He has found out that the 2 guys who are going to do this big gladiator fight scene are both Christians. And they don't do any scene before praying before they do it. And he has found out they're Christians, and so he's joined them in their little prayer circle. It's the most hilarious prayer circle I have ever seen in my life. A 12-year-old skinny kid and a 6'5" and 6'6" mammoth guy holding hands in this Bible circle, prayer circle thing. It's still funny to this day to even picture it. He's barely holding on to these hands of these massive guys. He looks like they're holding up a little twig or something, and they're all praying. And the assistant director, who sees that the Academy Award winner has been sitting maybe a little too long, says, "I'll break this up," and heads over there, and then a voice cries out. It's the Academy Award winner. And he says to the entire set, no. I want them at their best, so we'll wait till they're done. The Academy Award, Mr. Hollywood over here, just announced to everybody in Hollywood on the set that you're at your best once you've prayed to God. And the only reason that happened was some faithful Christian actors decided to put God first, and they're acting second. And I grabbed Noah afterwards, and I go, "Let me tell you what happened. While you were doing your little scene, one of the guys that was a lighting guy that didn't have to do lighting on the last scene, so he's packing everything up, he walked up and handed me a little note to give to you, Noah, and he whispered in my ear, 'I want you to thank your 12-year-old son for reminding me I can still have a faith in God.' Because if I was to tell my friends I believed in God, they would almost consider me a Nazi. That's how much they're against God. But your 12-year-old in his faith, they never had a conversation. Your 12-year-old in his actions, your 12-year-old in how he showed Jesus to us without having to say his name, reminded me it's okay to love God again. And my son doesn't have anything on any of you. Nothing. Except he decided to not be ashamed of the gospel and decided to put God first in his acting second, and he couldn't wait for the next role. And then we get this call, and he goes to this set, and he's going to be the youngest boy in a group of boys in this movie. And he realizes he's in over his head, and these are a lot of big-name actors, and Disney's on the scene. And when they give him the role, because he's homeschooled, we don't even know what this role is. We have to go buy the book called Holes. I don't know if you've read Holes. It's maybe more for the counselors than it is for the kids. And he's playing this character, a little twitchy guy, and we got to go halfway through the book to even find this twitch character. And he goes through audition after audition because they're searching, because the writer of the book got last writer outside of Shia LaBeouf. He got to choose basically every other actor, and one of the actors is a guy named Jon Voight, and in the third movie my son does, Sigourney Weaver and Jon Voight, an Academy Award winner. My son is just doing movies with Academy Award winners. I'm just like, you keep going, Noah. Is this still your mission field? Yep. Are you still, this is big Hollywood, this is Disney, this is big name thing, this is major motion picture. Are you still going to live for Jesus? Of course I am. I said, well, you'll show me if you are or you aren't. And he starts hanging out with these people. And he's like 13, and most of the guys there are 17 and 18 in D10. And Shia LaBeouf's about to turn 18 and that, and these guys are out of control. And I go to this one meeting where all the parents meet, and I meet Shia LaBeouf's dad. And they're all like, hey, how'd you get to be here on the set? And I said, well, I kind of own my own business. I travel and speak because I kind of pick my stuff like that. He goes, oh, what do you speak on? I go, well, I'm a Christian motivator for kids. And he looks at me, Shia LaBeouf's dad looks at me and goes, hey, don't give me that born-again stuff. I don't want any of that born-again stuff. I've done my once saved, always saved thing. Don't give me any of that Jesus born-again stuff. And I'm just like, hi, my name's Keith, and you got issues. You know, I don't know what's going on. Next day, he comes up to me. He hunts me down, Shia LaBeouf's dad. And he goes, I can't believe you Christians. You're so arrogant that you think you know the only way to get into heaven. You know, that rules out a lot of good people like this, that, and the other, that you think you have the only way to get into. I'm like, what are we having for breakfast? You know, this guy's. So the whole time, I'm trying to avoid this guy because I don't want to get in some big philosophical argument with him. And the whole time I've been watching this go on. Shia LaBeouf had the big trailer. All the other guys in D10, my son included, had a good trailer, but Shia had the one with the big refrigerator and the big screen TV. He had the nice trailer. And every once in a while, he would take 3 or 4 of the other actor guys, the ones that were his age, and they'd go in the trailer and watch a movie or do whatever they wanted to do. And in the 2 weeks I was there, Noah never got asked by Shia to go in the trailer. He's the younger guy, and I'm just like, okay, that's no problem. And I'm talking with Shia LaBeouf's dad. I don't know how we got in a conversation. He came up to me and goes, you got an okay kid there, but how old is he, like 13? I go, yeah, he'll be 14 in a couple weeks. He goes, okay, yeah, well, that's why he's good now, because when they turn 17, they fly off the handle, become crazy. Yeah, when they become 17, they just completely lose it and go crazy. You know what he was telling me? He was telling me because his son at 17 kind of went crazy and he couldn't control him, that every 17-year-old must go crazy. He's determining if my son's going to be some kind of crazy kid when he turns 17. The conversation almost got to the point where I wanted to go right in his nose. Go, stop talking about my son like that. And I said, well, I would hope that my son at 17 would be just as grounded as he is today. And he says, yeah, well, that's what the dad of a 13-year-old would probably say. And I kind of walk away. But as I'm walking away, here comes Shia and 3 of the other actors in the movie, and one of them is Noah. Noah is finally walking with Shia and the other kids, and they're heading to the trailer. And I'm like, Noah, what's going on? He goes, well, Shia invited me. We're going to go in and watch some movies in his trailer. And I'm like, yeah, finally accepted, my boy, cool. So they go up in the trailer, and I'm sitting there, and Shia LaBeouf's dad's there. Fly. And all of a sudden, the trailer door opens about 2 minutes later, and out comes my son, and he starts walking back to his trailer. I'm like, Noah, what's going on? Nothing, just going back to my trailer. So I run over, everything all right? Or no, I yelled from there, everything all right? And my son turns around and says, yeah, it's just that the movie they decided to watch is probably inappropriate for me to be watching, so I told them I'm leaving and going back to my trailer. Can you imagine the peer pressure of being the 13-year-old new actor finally invited into the trailer of the lead actor, offered to join them in the fun finally for the first time, and have to stand up and look at all those guys in the room and say, this isn't for my eyes according to my belief system, so I'm going back to my trailer. This wasn't Dad peeking his head in the trailer, what are you guys doing? This was my son and his relationship with Jesus policing himself to make sure he was doing the things that God wanted him to do, not what Hollywood wanted him to do. And when he said those words, the movie isn't something I should be watching, so I'm going back to my trailer, those words went right past me and smacked Shia LaBeouf's dad right in the face. I could almost hear it happen. I did not have to say another word about our faith and what my boy would come out like. Because Shia LaBeouf's dad looked at me and says, okay, you might just have one of the good ones. And he walked off. All my son was doing was being in the game. All he was doing was playing ball. All he was doing was realizing everywhere he goes is his mission field, and he's not going to be ashamed of the gospel, and he's going to do what he wants to do, but as long as God's first and he's second. Do you see how easy that is? Did you see God come through for him right there? All he did was make a stand for God, and everything went cool for him. Look at Jeremiah 1. And again, I've asked you to turn to a book in the Bible, so you should be asking yourself, where would I be in this story? And what's it saying to me today? Where would I be in this story if I was back then? And what would it mean for me today? And Jeremiah was just a normal guy growing up, Jeremiah. If you asked him, what's your name? My name's Jeremiah. What are you going to do for a living? I don't know yet. But at one point, God came up to him and said, Jeremiah, now this is God, came up to him, Jeremiah, today's your day. Jeremiah, I'm going to let you know a little bit how I work. This is God. It would be like God coming to you and saying, hey, you want to know? I'm going to let you know a little bit how I work today. You'd be like, keep talking, God. I want to hear how God works. He's like, yeah. He goes, guess what, Jeremiah? Today's your day. Everything you've done in your life has come to right now. Jeremiah, this is your moment. And he said, let me tell you a little bit how I work, Jeremiah. And if you look at this, you get to learn a little bit how God works right here in Jeremiah. If you look at verse 4, it says, the word of the Lord came to me, which was Jeremiah, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Do you see that? God was saying, here's how I work. Before I knew you, Jeremiah, before you even came out of the womb, I already knew you, and I already set you apart to do something on this earth. And guess what, Jeremiah? Now's your moment. And according to this book, God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if that's how he worked back then, that's how he works today and forever. So you know what God would want to say to you right now? Here's what God would want to say to you tonight. Before you got on this earth, God already knew you. Before you even came out into this world, he had already set you apart for something great. Now go find out what that thing is. Go spend the rest of your life figuring out what is that thing. Now you would think Jeremiah would be like, yeah, now's my moment. You think he'd run to his friends. God came to me and said, now's my moment. It's my moment. This is it. It's all built up to this. What are you going to do? I don't know, but it's my moment. This is it. Yeah. That's not what Jeremiah did. He looked at God and he said, God, I don't talk very well, and I'm way too young. You maybe want to choose somebody else. I don't know the Bible well enough, and I think I'm a little too young to do anything great for you, God. Do you know what God's response to Jeremiah was? Here was God's response basically to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, if that can't talk and too young stuff ever comes out of your mouth again, we're going to have a problem. Because I need you to go where I need you to go. And I need you to say what I need you to say. Jeremiah, this is your moment. And at that point, Jeremiah got it. And he went and did incredible things for God. I don't know when your Jeremiah moment's going to happen. I know when mine happened. Mine happened when I was in college. I grew up in the church. I knew all the answers. I showed up every Sunday. I showed up for youth group. My dad was a deacon in the church. I was at church every midweek for whatever they had going on. I went to camp every year. I was just Mr. Christian. I was there all the time. I showed up. And I didn't have a single relationship with Jesus worth a darn. I showed up for me. I showed up for the fun. I never got in the game. And then at one point, God put me in a situation that I didn't want to be in, working with junior hires. Who would want to work with junior hires? We don't even know what to call them. Let's call them tweens, stick them in a corner, and hope you're alive at the end of the hour. Good luck. These are junior hires. They don't know what's going on with their body and their head and their mind. They're running around crazy. We don't know. We just call them tweens, and we tween them over there, and good luck to you if you want to work with them. That was my first ministry ever. You got to go work with them. I didn't even want to work with them. I went to this Christian college because they gave me a basketball scholarship. Remember the game? Yeah, remember the ball? I actually got to pay for my college playing basketball. But then I got halfway in, and they tricked me because they said I had to choose a major. What are you going to study? And so I'm looking down the list. Senior pastor? No. Missionary? No. Youth pastor? Well, I can fool kids, so I grabbed that one thinking it was the easiest. How dumb was that? So I take that one. Second year, they say, oh, now you got to do a thing called an internship. I'm like, what's an internship? You got to go to a church and you got to play youth pastor. Oh, no, no, no. I actually have to go mix with these junior hires. I have to go be amongst them. Am I coming out alive? What is going on? I don't like these kids. I never liked a kid that age. I didn't like me when I was that age. What are you doing to me, God? So they sent me to this little small church. 12 junior hires. I walk in the first day. I ask them how they're doing. Okay. Can I do anything for you? Not really. Any of you guys got food or anything? No. Anybody got any money? No. You want to draw on the chalkboard? Cool. I didn't know what to do with these kids. So the next time, I got them to convince 5 or 6, there might be 17 kids, girls and guys in the room. I go up on the board and I write numbers 1 through 17. And I tell the kids to turn around backwards, and I'm going to call them one at a time, and I want them to go up with nobody watching on one of the numbers up there, and I want you to write in something that you're having a hard time dealing with, that you're struggling with. And when 15 of the 17 wrote, the divorce or problem my parents are having staying together, my heart melted. There hasn't been a divorce in my family that I even knew of. And I'm sitting here with a group of kids that are all from broken homes and trying to figure out if it was their fault or somebody else's fault, and parents are trying to figure it out, and there might be people in the room dealing with that, and I'm sorry if I'm touching an issue, but I tell you what happened right then. God reached down and touched me and said, Keith, these are your people. And I haven't stopped working with kids since that moment. I believe you're the future. I believe you're the hope for this nation. I believe the only way the United States has a shot is if a new army rises up for God, and it's you. I apologize for every adult like myself that stood on the sidelines and didn't get in the game, and so our government has taken over. Our schools won't allow a Bible in there. A courtroom in St. Louis says you can't put the 10 Commandments up for fear people will read it and act upon it. It says, thou shalt not kill. Oh, we don't want people reading that. That's how messed up we've made your society, and they're trying to take him off of the money and take him out of everything and off the pledge and everything they can do. And we can all give up and go hide somewhere. But God told me, no, Keith, you go make soldiers. You go tell them about my son. You go remind them how much he loves them and what he did for them on a cross. Keith, you're going to spend the rest of your life making sure that they don't have to get to college before they realize who my son really is. And I don't know why you're here, but I know you're here on purpose. I don't know where your relationship with Jesus is, but I know he wants it to be the best relationship you have. The Bible says he is the answer if you need answers. He's the comforter if you need comfort. He's the healer if you need healing. And he's the Savior if you need to be saved. You can go play church. You can go play Christian. You can just show up. Or you can be not ashamed. You can get in the game. You can win your world back. One person, one family, one street, one city, one country at a time. We can be a nation under God again if a new kind of people will rise up with a new kind of boldness and a new kind of faith, willing to say, doesn't matter how old I am, I'm not ashamed of Jesus Christ. I pray that change is happening in you this week.